Hey, greetings from Farmington, Connecticut on this beautiful fall day here in New England. Today I want to teach you how to activate and focus your intuition for breakthrough living. You know, today there's been so much talk about intuition, the importance, the value of intuition for guidance, to make better decisions, to get into that flow state. And it's one of my favorite topics. So if you're an entrepreneur building a business, you already know the importance of trusting your gut, of trusting your instincts, going with it, and yet sometimes we get fooled. Sometimes, let me say hello to some people. Hey guys, glad you're joining. Sometimes we get fooled and we make the wrong decision because we get caught up in wishful thinking or maybe fear. Stuff like that. If you're in sales, you only have so many hours in the day, so many calls you can make. So you've got a list and you need to prioritize that list. I find that people who are able to activate and focus their intuition are often making better decisions and enjoying those meaningful coincidences where they make a call and hear from their proposed client, customer, funny you should call. I was just thinking about you, or just thinking about the service. Or maybe you're just concerned about relationships. That's a big one, isn't it? How often we want to connect better with our spouse, a friend, our client, a student, our children. And things are not always what they appear to be. And often we get fooled. Often we get confused. And we're not sure what's really going on. I know my own relationship with my wife. We've been together 42 years, married 38. Sometimes I feel like I have to be a mind reader. So it's really a skill that can be trained, that can be developed. And with that, we can make better decisions, connect more deeply. Or maybe, like all of us, we're living with such a high level of uncertainty these days. You'd just like to navigate life with greater ease and a little smoother and get into that flow state. You know, that state where it seems like the universe has got your back? Where you're making better decisions? So let's take a look at that. So let me say hi. My name is Coscia. I meant to introduce myself. And I'll be doing more of these Facebook Lives. This is the first in this series because my passion, my interest is in developing intuition. And let me just say hello to see some people here for that. Hey, Julie. Oh, I'm glad you're on by. And Katerina. And Kat. And Bisma. And Egel. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. I remember you folks from Facebook. Glad you can be here. We got a lot to do. So as I was saying, some of you know me through the Silva method. Some of you know my story, don't. Allow me just to give you briefly my story. It all started for me, this path of recognizing the flow state, intuition, and the value way back in 1971. I was a struggling student, aimlessly wandering through life, aimlessly wandering through school, studying engineering, because you need a job, you need some work. Suffering from headaches, suffering from bouts of anger, impatience, frankly, little or no direction, up in arms about the world and feeling disillusioned. And I was flunking out of school. I went through 2 years like that. And I wonder if you've ever had an experience like this, where you feel like somebody upstairs must be watching out for you, and you say, whoa, I don't know how that happened. Well, that's what happened to me in my life, because I knew nothing of this field. I knew nothing of personal development. I knew nothing of the Silva method or any of these topics that I've now been an avid student of for 45 years. But a dear friend told me about it. And at first I was hesitant. I went to the introductory talk 45 minutes late, thought it was funny. And yet something happened in this presentation. I felt like I found what I was looking for. I found like, this is for me. And then I freaked out thinking, oh God, what's going on? I didn't know I was looking for anything. I didn't know what I found. But if I had this feeling, this indescribable feeling in your gut that this is right, and you're inspired by it. I was full of questions. I went to the library, I checked the sources, and a few days later, there I was in the Silva Method class, and I haven't looked back since. I learned how to overcome my headaches, no drugs. I went back to school 3 months later, and I graduated the highest honors. I immersed myself in this. I was mentored, guided personally by Jose Silva. He became a close ally and friend and mentor. Harry McKnight, one of our first instructors, Nelda Sheet. I mean, I just jumped in. Honestly, I didn't know what I jumped into, but it felt good. And I wonder about you. Have you ever made a decision and you're not quite sure yet why? You don't have all the facts, you don't have all the reasons, but there's just something about it that draws you in? Well, that was me way back then. And like I said, I haven't looked back, and every step of the way, I helped my mom learn these skills. It's a dynamic meditation program. She stopped having asthma attacks. She overcame her arthritis. And I said, wow, what a cool way to make a living. So here I am, 2016, and I've become the International Training Director for the Silva Method, the lead instructor. I've worked with the best of the best. I've studied with the best of the best. I've made this my life. Now they tell me I've become the best of the best, which is, I don't think I'm any better than anybody else. In fact, I'm sure there are so many people out there who are far better presenters and maybe are much more intuitive than I am. But see, that's just the point. Things are not always what they appear to be, and you, as well as me, we all have intuition. It's a skill, and like any muscle, it can be developed. It just takes the right education, the right training, and practice. And that's my intention today. I want to share with you this. I've actually developed in all these 45 years, I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people. 30 of these years, I've traveled the world. In fact, I just came back from Lithuania and Poland, where I was conducting the Life Mastery System. I am the author and creator of the Silva Life Mastery System. I'm also the founder of the Trust Your Intuition Academy. I also teach the Silva Immersion, our foundation program here in Connecticut, in Boston, and Chicago. And a big part of my role is also to certify our developing team of instructors and to collaborate with this team. So the point is, there's been a lot of wisdom, a lot of accumulated experience, a lot of insight. And this is our specialty in the Silva program, how to develop, how to awaken intuition, to make us, excuse me for that, I just wanted to straighten this out a little bit. It seems to be a little bit crooked, guys. How to develop it. Let me just say hello to a couple of people. Hey, Mary Butler, how you doing, Mary? And Jody and Donna. Wow, and Maria. I turned 65 this year, guys, and as of lately, I still have great eyesight, but I do need them for this small font that's like 6-point font. So the only way I could see, I wasn't ignoring you, but I need to wear these glasses, and my vanity, I don't really like wearing them. And Maria, hey, glad you joined. I recognize some of you, you've been through training with me. Some of you, I hope one day to meet you. It's my joy, and continues to be my joy, to spend 4 days with people like you. It is people like you who inspire me. And I got to tell you, most people like me, like you, often wonder, I don't know, I think they're just patronizing me. I couldn't be as intuitive as her or him. And, you know, all these people write about intuition and they tell you great stories. My experience, it knocks your socks off. We all have this ability. And those of you who've been through the Silva training, you know what I mean. I mean, it's like awesome. Well, we spent 4 solid days, 9 in the morning till 7, exercising, developing, working with this ability to improve it. And what I want to single out for you today, and this is I took from my Trust Your Intuition Academy, which is a new online platform I'm so excited about, because now, you know, it's not always practical for you to come to one of my classes in Boston or Connecticut or where I travel, but in the privacy of your home now, using the new technology, even an old school guy like myself has gotten on and began to investigate this so we can serve. Let me see, a few more people came on board. I hope you can hear me okay, because my phone is acting funny, but I'll just keep kicking. Excuse me for that, the interruption for that. So anyway, we're talking about activating your intuition to make better decisions. So first of all, let's just agree on one thing. Whether we study neuroscience, whether we study metaphysics, whether we just look at practical living, somehow, some way, regardless of what you want to call it, you and I can get information, can know something, and yet we haven't experienced it yet. We haven't seen it. We haven't touched it, felt it. We haven't, there's no way we would know logically, but we just sort of know. We just sort of have this sense, or maybe having a dream. We've all done it. Phone rings, you know who's there, you have a sense. Just happened to me this week. In fact, my wife Barbara joined me. I was away 2 weeks. She joined me for the last week in Lithuania. And I have about 4 or 5 weeks time before I go into, after I finish this tour, to go into another tour of offering classes. So I tell you that because I was setting my schedule, booking the flights. I happened to book them on United Airlines, and we're coming home. So I was debating, well, I'll come later in the week, and I made a decision to book the flight to come home Tuesday. So just this past Tuesday. Could have stayed longer and wanted to, thought, but my quick first impression was not to. And you know how that goes sometimes, you think, well, got to get home, got things to catch up with, and then you start logically explaining, rationalizing the decision you made. Well, I've learned not to. I just trusted, went with it. Anyway, came back Tuesday, flew in. Actually, it was Wednesday morning to be exact. We got back here to Connecticut. And just the day after, United Airlines had a worldwide computer glitch that grounded thousands and thousands of flights, and just about every flight was delayed and interrupted, and we would have been screwed, and we would have been stuck in an airport somewhere for God knows how long. I cannot tell you how many times that has happened in my life. And I look back and say, whoa, somebody must be watching out. Well, a famous psychologist by the name of Csikszentmihalyi once identified from a psychological point of view what he calls flow state, where it seemed like the universe has got your back. We're not perfect, but we're making better, wiser decisions, right? And we're moving along more gracefully in life, making those decisions. And that to me is what it was, just time after time after time with that. So again, what about you in your life? I ask you this question because it's important to pay attention to these kinds of experiences and begin to look for the difference that made the difference. And that's another topic. What I want to cover right now, let's go into them. 3 ways, 3 principles. I've come up with 12, and I'll go over these 3 top principles that will help you to activate your intuition and begin to trust it. So number 1, let me put a little, let's see who else is here. Oh, Ina, and I'm not able to see the complete screen because my phone is blocking me, telling the mic is on. It's odd that hasn't happened. And Maria and others. Lisa, I think I see you there. Hey, hey, hey. Boy, this is so cool, huh? I love it. Victoria, I think I just saw your little face pop up. Oh, wow, guys, this is great. On a beautiful Saturday, I thought you'd all be out, but here we are. So, number 1, relax. Now, looking on the screen, it seems to be backwards. I hope you can see that. It's important that we can stay calm, focused, at peace, thinking clearly, even under pressure. So what are some of the ways that you can stay calm? What are some of the ways that you find you can navigate life more effectively and not let all the stuff and the demands and the uncertainty and the crazy politicians and all the stuff that, and the breaches of trust? Well, meditation, right? It's interesting. More than 20 years ago, Harvard University in Cambridge, Mass, not my alma mater, but my old stomping grounds, Boston, and INSEAD, a top European university, were predicting, this is 25 years ago, that 2 of the most important skills for executives, for decision makers in the future, would be intuition and meditation. When I first started in 1971, there was transcendental meditation and the Silva method. Back then we were called Silva mind control. Now, meditation, there is a ton of research. There is an huge growing mountain of research about the value, the benefit, just in the area of neuroplasticity. People who meditate regularly don't age, they age more gracefully and don't show their age. People who meditate regularly are more resilient, able to bounce back. It's called neuroplasticity. People who meditate regularly have better health, are more optimistic, and it activates your intuition. Why? Because it allows the blood and the oxygen to flow more evenly throughout your brain, which allows the higher thinking functions of the frontal lobes to be active, and we think more clearly, we think with more intelligence, we make better decisions. And when the pressure's off, you know, you've done this. How many times do you say, I can't think anymore, and you go for a walk, or you read a good book, or you go with a friend, or you watch a little mindless TV or something, and then the idea pops, right? Because you took the pressure off. You allowed nature to take its course. That's in essence what we're doing, just allowing our natural self. We all have this ability. We're all blessed with it. It's just that sometimes life gets the best of us and we get burdened and pressured, and you know how that goes. So meditation, going for a walk, this beautiful fall day. Barbara and I went for a drive today. There's a new Mormon temple in town in the fall. We went to see it. It's gorgeous, my God, what they put into it. And then we drove around. It's not quite peak here in Connecticut for the leaves where it is in New Hampshire and Vermont, but still beautiful, and it's warmer than usual. Often we get our best insights, ideas, inspiration when we're not thinking about it. For me, one of my things, I love to walk by the river, walk on the ocean. Last week, if you saw my Facebook Live, I was in Palanga, Lithuania on the Baltic Sea. It's heavenly. I find I get some of my best ideas when I go for a walk. So there's so many ways to relax. Maybe go to a museum and you're enjoying some art. Maybe you're listening to your favorite music. It's important that we honor ourselves. It's important we take care of ourselves. It's important that we allow the stressors, the demands of life not to build up, because if they do, they get stuck in the body, and it shows up in aches and pains. It shows up in quirks. It shows up in sleepless nights. It shows up as headaches. It shows up as serious illnesses if it goes on. And it shows up in lack of clear thinking. You ever heard the expression, desperate people do desperate things? And when one feels desperate, when one feels cornered, we're not going to make as intelligent a decision. So guys, the friendly reminders, we've all got to, whatever your tool is, whether you're a meditator or a walker, or get lost in some music for a while, or reading a good book, or maybe drawing, coloring. Interestingly enough, there's psychological and neuroscientific research that coloring can be a way to activate higher thinking functions, things like intuition. Second, let's look at number two. Number two way to activate your intuition and ideally grow to trust it would be have some purpose. Let me say hello to some other people here while we're looking. Hey, Steve, baby, California. How you doing, buddy? Victoria, see you. And Kathy, wow. It's great to see you guys here. I wish I could see your face. I'd rather see you face to face and shake your hand and give you a hug. But this will do for now. Again, please excuse me, guys, because my screen, I'm on my iPhone, and it's telling me my headphones. I know my headphones, and this has never happened before. I just hope it's not affecting the video. If it is, if you'd let me know, because I'm looking at the screen or your comments that you've joined. Anyway, number two would be what? You got to have a deep sense of purpose, a sense of value. Research shows, if you look at Duke University, 1950s, Roberto, my favorite hairdresser. Roberto's been my hairdresser for, God, I was like one of his first clients. Hey, Victoria, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's reassuring, because Mr. Old School here, still not completely 100% trusting of the technology, but at least I'm in the game, huh? So we go back, let me take off my glasses. Back to purpose. Value. The early research at Duke University with Dr. J.B. Ryan, his wife wrote a book called ESP and Life in the Lab. And they found that when they were testing people who they found to have ESP, intuition, remote viewing, whatever you call it, good hunch, women's intuition, lucky guess, flow state. All means the same thing, guys. They found that when they tested them, they would score high, 80% sometimes. That's awesome. But then after a while, they dropped off. And then they did a new test, a new kind, new challenge. And they climbed up again to about 80%. And after a while, they dropped off again. And this kept happening until they realized, basically, they were bored. They were not valuing. They did it. It's like been there, done that. And there was no challenge. So the same applies to you and I. Be clear about your intention. Why? What is your big why that you want to be more intuitive, that you want to trust it, and you want to make better decisions wiser? What's important to you? I'm not talking about a moral viewpoint, or it's not necessary to judge as a good or bad. No. What's important to you in your life? Your family. I know for me, my family are number one. My wife, Barbara, my 3 children, Jason, Grant, Alana, my daughter-in-law, Jessica, my grandson, Bishop, our new grandson. I'm a granddaddy now. You can call me Grandpa. So a lot of my interest in developing my intuition and doing the work I do is to be a better parent, to be a better friend, to be a better spouse, to understand them better, to be a better role model, to be more effective in my classes, in teaching, guiding people like you, in facilitating. I don't think I'm any better than anyone. I just have a lot of experience, and a lot of history, and a lot of studying. I've devoted my life, 45 years, studying neuroscience and psychology and every modality you can think of. However, I'm grounded in the Silva method because it's so practical. We teach people practical, life-changing skills. So this purpose business, you've got to have a big why, a vision of what you want to create. And you'll find that that's what guides you. And in a sense, you'll be luckier. In a sense, you'll make... Well, let me give you an example. I wonder if you're familiar with what actually happened way back at Kitty Hawk with the Wright brothers when they made the first historic flight, with flight, airplanes and so on. Well, at the very same time in history, the Wright brothers, who were very poor mechanics, they had no money. And every time they crashed, they had to work a little more, repair a few more bicycles, and they'd have spare parts, bicycle parts, and they had this makeshift workshop making the early airplanes. At the same time, Samuel Pierpont Langley, an inventor by Wright, a very well-connected, incredible man, awesome intellect, affiliated with Smithsonian Institute, with industrialists, coming from a wealthy background, had deep pockets, lots of resources and money, and he spent it too. And he, at the same time, they're both, I don't know if they were consciously competing, but they were both working to be the first. That awesome feeling of being the first to innovate, the first to break through, like with the new technology or something. Well, that was what they were doing. Well, in history, it's the Wright brothers who did it first. And what's interesting, I was reading some historians looking at that period of history, and they expressed an opinion, and it made sense to me. And with due respect to Mr. Langley, the point they made was, had he continued with the Wright brothers and collaborated and took his resources, took his connections, took everything that he had to contribute toward perfecting airplanes, it would have accelerated the speed at which we would have had, comparable practical flying machines. But instead he dropped out. I know he was ridiculed unfairly by the media because he kept having flops. But it seemed like this historian said he was more interested in the ego, in being first, in being the man, rather than the vision of changing the way people travel, making it easier for people to go from East Coast to West Coast or traveling the world. Things that now we all take for granted. And I've seen that, and you sure, think about it. I'm sure, how about you in your life? I know that in my own life, some of my biggest breakthroughs, some of my biggest opportunities have come at a time when I was putting someone else first, helping someone to maybe mentor them, to help them build their business, to help them develop their seminars. And how about you? Have you noticed? Even now with disruptive technology, I know there's a lot of challenges, and it's not an easy time for many reasons on the planet today, and yet it's very exciting in another way. There's so much disruptive technology, and I say it because it's helping us with energy, with having sustainable energy, with having cleaner energy, with having more improved technology, with we're living longer, improving medical technology. There are more breakthroughs. I mean, I put myself on some of these newsletters, and it's truly exciting to keep, just attempting to keep up with the innovations. And time again, like if you look at Uber, oh my God, it's become, last I heard, I think a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And now Uber, although it's disrupting taxis, and that's not an easy thing for people who've invested millions of dollars into getting a taxi license and a medallion. But now thousands and thousands of people have jobs and ways to earn income because they're all Uber drivers. Airbnb. Oh my God, people are finding affordable living. For example, in Northern California, San Francisco area, unreal, the prices, real estate. We thought about maybe getting a place. Oh my God, I thought living in Connecticut was expensive. And now with things like Airbnb and other innovations like that, and the way people can reach out to others, people are getting very creative and coming up with ways that they can help people, you know, take a bite out of the expense. And that's what I mean by some of these breakthroughs. So more businesses in the tech industry in Silicon Valley started what? You heard the stories. In their garage, when they just wanted to have the vision of everybody having a computer on their desktop, you know, stuff like that. Look at it. Do your research homework, and you'll find that there's something about when we are in alignment with a higher purpose, when we are in alignment with a just cause, when we are in alignment with doing some good, making a difference, there's something about that energy that changes within us. And whatever your religious persuasion or spiritual background, and that's not where I'm coming from. This is part of meditation, part of my spiritual practice. I do believe that when we are in alignment, that you and I are just a small part of something more. And there is definitely, even hardcore scientists have to agree, there's an intelligence in the universe that keeps moving. And we can either flow with it and move with it gracefully. And not that we're perfect, but we make better decisions. You know, we navigate more easily. Or we can get stuck and hit the wall by being obstinate and going backwards, right? It's like, to me, the metaphor is we're all in a giant rowboat rowing together, moving through life. Call it civilization. And when we're in sync, when we're in harmony, we move together and we all get to where we want to go. But when a few of us say, no way, I want to go back, then we all have to work even harder. Or if a few of us quit, boy, we are interconnected, aren't we? And we do make a difference. So you got to have a sense of purpose and value. And that in itself, when you're clear about your intention, you'll pay more attention to the very things that will help you to develop and improve your intuition. And number 3, hey, before I go to number 3, let me just say hello. Elena, hi. And whoa, John baby, good old buddy, John Jacobson. He's a great guy, by the way. He and I have done Silva together. He does phenomenal work for children. If you have ever seen any of his programs, I'm sorry, John, I just went blank. But if you just message me somebody and I'll direct you to his. Karen, my cousin Karen. Hey, Karen. Boy, we haven't seen each other I can't even remember when I last saw you. Anyway, boy, so good to see you guys. Just want to acknowledge you. Let me go back to my vanity and take off my glasses. Third one, number 3. This is actually my favorite. Although I'm 65 this year, I'm still getting in trouble because of this one. I'm still getting, in a fun way, I'm still, what should I say, almost being reprimanded because be playful, have some fun, be inquisitive. It's interesting. When children are growing up, sometimes parents are quick to say, no, don't touch this, don't touch that, don't touch this, don't do that, don't do. And we know that it's a sign of intelligence, being inquisitive like that, checking things out, investigating. So you got to be playful. when you go through a Silva training with me, or when you go to my Trust Your Intuition Academy, I've got some programs now available. You can play with them in the privacy of your home. In fact, there's a program I put together years ago, 1984. Talk about synchronicity. I got to tell you this story. Playful. In the Silva program, it's a 4-day training. We do a lot of things like helping you sleep better, deal with stress, accelerate learning, learn faster, easier, do change work, creative visualization, self-improvement. I've even worked with Olympic athletes. A few, not many, but a few I have. I've worked with head of state from the UN way back. We've had people, running companies with that. So there's a lot in that aspect. However, our big interest is awakening, developing intuition, right? So I remember there was a time when, if you remember, those of you who've been through the Silva training, in the last day when we do what some call now medical intuition, it's a medical intuition type exercise. It's immediate feedback. It's deliberate practice, by the way, which is the fastest way to grow, I now know through the research I'm looking at lately, is that where you're given a challenge to come up with information and you get immediate feedback. And you do this all throughout, especially in day 3 and day 4. And that helps you hone your skill. That helps you to say, what's the difference that made the difference when I was correct? Remember that. What's the difference when I was correct on the money and when I was off? So we do that. However, frankly, some people, it just blows them away and they don't know what to do with it. So my thing has been, my area of expertise since the very beginning is working with graduates, supporting. Here I am 45 years later, the Silva organization, we're now in our 50th year. And we're still offering programs, still supporting you in your growth. I see so many come and go copies, this and that, and they're here, and so on, and then they're gone tomorrow. You know how that goes. So I had an idea. I created some playful, very lighthearted, playful games that would build on whether you were highly experienced or whether you were new, that would give people a chance to build and hone their skill, build some more trust in a fun way. So I made a telephone call to Ana Martinez, who at the time was the managing director for the Silva organization. This is 1984, 86, somewhere in that period of time. And the interesting thing was, she said, Ken, it's so interesting you're bringing this to my attention, because I just had a meeting. I'm right here now sitting with Jose Silva, that is, and his brother Juan Silva, and we were talking about this very topic, that we've got to do something and create some programs, some workshops, or support activities to help build on this. And here I was with an idea, with a proposal and a curriculum, and the next thing you know, I was traveling the world with this program. Well, a few years ago, while I was in, I think it was Houston, doing this program to mostly Silva instructors, I was recorded professionally and now been able to make it available to you. And one of the things we do is just play games, intuition. Instead of making a test, a quiz, let me just get a little water, excuse me. And get myself so worked up. And playing with your intuition, that it takes the pressure off. So here's a good example of this childlike innocence. Good model. There's a story that maybe you've heard. It's been floating around in personal development for several decades at least. And the way the story goes is an 18-wheeler truck was driving through town and it wasn't paying attention to the signs and it got stuck on the overpass. And it stopped short, the top hit, and now it ran the risk of doing damage to the truck and destroying the overpass. So there it was stuck. It couldn't move either way because it's just so wedged in. Fire trucks came, police vehicles, emergency vehicles, and all these adults are standing around trying to figure out what's going on, how can we do this, what should we do, trying to look at it. And as the story goes, this young boy, 7, 8-ish, around that range, walking with his mom, coming back from school, they stopped to look, and in his curiosity, he asked what was going on, heard, they told him, and he said, hey, did you think of this? Just take the air out of the tires. Well, if you know the story, they took the air out of the tires and the trunk dropped down a few inches, just enough so that it could easily back out. Such a simple solution. Now, was he intuitive? Was he creative? Frankly, I find they come from the same place. intuition and creativity relate to each other. Intuition and creativity come from the same place. It's about innovation. It's about coming up with ideas. It's about creating solutions. And I have found that when we can take the pressure off, whether it be through meditation, number one, relaxation, going for a walk, having a clearly defined why, your purpose, and then number three, be playful. Make it a game. Make it, even your work. If you make it a game, or think of yourself, you're in the play called life, and you're one of the actors or actresses, you'll find it takes a lot of the pressure off. I'm speaking to the choir, I know, and I say this to myself so often because I get so serious. So my wife tells me, Barbara, that I have a very silly sense of humor, and she's correct. And it saves me from getting too serious about life. So I hope this has helped for that. Let me just say, hey, Anne. And I might be able to see everybody else. So good to see you guys joining. Thank you for that. Now stay tuned, because I'm going to work on, I want to make a commitment to you that once a week I'm going to come back, and these videos apparently, once they're live, then they'll be on Facebook, so I'll have them on my pages and you'll be able to go back and enjoy them. And we're going to go over 12 of these focusing principles, and we'll even do some exercises. I mean, just think about the value. If you could just make better decisions. Maybe you're choosing a contractor, and how do you know? It's not always about the price. Who's going to do the best job for you? Who can you trust? Things are not always what they appear to be, are they? In any situation, in relationships, in conflict, resolution, there's what he said, what she said, and then there's what really happened. So I find that intuition can guide us. And then when we can combine it with our logic, with our reasoning skills, which, in other words, it becomes a whole brain experience. So it's not just about right brain, as some like to call it, or left brain intellect. It's really about using all of what we have. My specialty happens to be intuition. This is part of my practice, working with the practical side. I'm not interested in telling how intuitive I am and how many breakthroughs I've had, because I've had lots. And it's guided me to make a whole career out of doing something that I love with purpose. What I'm turned on about is the practical uses, how we can use it to solve problems, to create solutions. And in fact, if I could just give a little shameless plug for that. The shameless plug is, if you want to build this, I put together this program, and it's available now in my Trust Your Intuition Academy. You can look at it 24/7. It's 4 hours. And this workshop, actually our friends at Mind Valley recorded this for me, edited it, and put it together and prepared it in a way that they just fine-tuned it. And in this we play some games, there's some meditations, there's some exercises. It's very lighthearted, but they're aimed at just helping us to awaken and develop the ability. There's a 7-step process to come up with creative solutions, to activate your intuition, creativity, to come up with solutions and innovations. There's a self-awareness exercise in there to just understand ourselves better, to bring out our best. There are the principles and how to activate your intuition, how to build points of reference so that you know the difference that makes the difference. I'm really proud of it. It's excellent. I know it's only 4 hours, considering do 4, but it's a great way to begin. It's fun, supportive way. You don't have to be a Silva graduate to enjoy it. And another little shameless plug, you'll find it on this new website, until we fix something with the technology, you do need to put that in, trustyourintuitionacademy.com. Check it out. There's some other videos there. I have some guided meditations. And I hope you enjoy it, and I'd love to hear your feedback and your comments. So let me say, until the next time, wow, I hope you've enjoyed. I have too. This is Ken Coscia saying so long for now, and I'll put my glasses on and check it out with me on Facebook. Message me. I'm happy to help in any way. So until the next time, guys, bye-bye. And I'm hitting the button and it's not turning off, so let me just, this is so funny. This time I know exactly, maybe I need to wet my finger. Hey Nancy, good to see you. And Victoria. And, oh, from Ukraine. Angela, hello Angela. And Adina, and Jody, and Ellie. Whoa. You know, I'm glad I couldn't sign off. There's a button here that says finish. I'm touching it, and it's not. Maybe because I'm outside, the sun's gone down and it's gotten quite cool for that. But I'm able to, you know, this is fun. I want to just say hello to you guys. You've blessed me with your presence. The least I could do is say hello. Nancy. Yeah, I know. I knew you not to. You're right, Nancy. Boy, Nancy, I haven't seen you in a while. Remember when we first did Silva with me? You know, I'm really blessed and fortunate to do this work. Wow. It's nice to see you guys. You know, sometimes we misplace sight of that. Oh, Gabriella, you're welcome. And Adina. Oh, and say hi to Alexandra. Yes, you do say hi to her, Adina. And all of you. It's a good thing I have my glasses on for that. And I think we need to go. I promised someone I would do a video for them. We have a new instructor in Australia, so I'm going to go work on that. And so this is me again saying so long for now. Hasn't signed off.